Well, hello there. So, on the less scripted side, I wanted to take a look at the 2024 election. In my opinion, 2022 is already sewn up. Check out yesterday's evening rant for what my opinion on the current cycle's at. So, I wanted to take a look at what happens in 2024. Because with two successful terms of Trump as a populist, the Republicans aren't necessarily without precedent in this kind of situation. Last time this happened was Reagan, two wildly successful terms, and then after that they nominated his VP and, well, one term wonder. George H.W. Bush was way too much of an old school neocon coming off the heels of a popular and successful two-term run from a populist Republican, and I don't want the Republicans, and I don't think that they want themselves to be retreading old ground. Now, I want to focus specifically on what the Republicans should do, what they might do, and the ideal direction for them to go in 2024. As for the Democrats, that's another video to have on another day because that's a big topic. Because what I see right now, especially with all of the House and all the Senate candidates for the Republicans right now, there is a big turn, and it's a willing turn. It's not a hostile takeover of the GOP. It is a bunch of Trump supporters, populists that are up for and are currently in positions of power who have also primaried out the old neocon stock. Like, I forget his name, but he primaried out Jeff Sessions in Alabama. So, and he's a vehement pro-Trumper. And you look at people like Kimberly Klacik in Baltimore. I think she's running for the House, and she is very, very pro-Trump and very, very electable. And I really hope that she wins because Baltimore is in a shit position. And if anybody's going to do anything about it, you know, here's a fresh new set of ideas instead of the also ran Democrat ideas. But we're getting off topic here. So I've got Ballotpedia pulled up, and they already have a list of potential 24 candidates. Now, to get these ones out of the way, Tucker Carlson's job at Fox, unless things go way off the rails, he's making way too much money. He has the best rated cable show, at least right now, maybe of all time. So, what fucking incentive would he have to take a pay cut, be in a more scrutinized position? And honestly, he's just a talking head on TV. What the fuck's he actually gonna do? I've never heard of any kind of political aspirations out of him, so not saying he wouldn't be suited for the job. Maybe he is a brilliant guy, but what he does best is primetime analysis, and I think he's just going to stay there, make a long story short. As for the kids, as for Don Jr. and Ivanka, I think you're going to have to look past this current, or rather this upcoming 24-28 cycle. If they're going to make a run for it, and I think they might, I really strongly think that they're going to make a run for it. Look for the 32 cycle. I think it's really tough to rank them. If I was to say if Ivanka or if Don Jr. would run for office, maybe they'd be on the same ticket. Am I thinking, is that too much of a Trump supporter pipe dream? Perhaps, but I think it's both 50-50 of who runs first. And like I said, look at 32. But as coming up for the 24 election, I think it would be a huge mistake to nominate Mike Pence. Because what do we actually know about Mike Pence? Okay, he was governor of Indiana prior to joining the Trump ticket in 2016. He loves himself some shock therapy. And outside of that, he's just been, the silent man with a great head of hair for the past 4 years. It would just be another HW off the heels of Reagan situation, and then we find ourselves back into another cycle of You know, yeah, just another. Here comes the second coming of Clinton in 28, and we don't need history to repeat itself. Long story short. But as for Ballotpedia, they have a list of people who I am just not satisfied with. Like, you got also rans like Cruz and Rubio, Pence, Never Trumpers like Nikki Haley, likable guys with small profiles like Tom Cotton and Josh Hawley. Josh Hawley was, I've already done a little bit of work on him. He was the guy who put out the memo to the NBA asking them to make a statement on China as to them, I don't know, forgiving, the human rights violations to Hong Kong and the Uyghur Muslims. So what I've seen of Josh Hawley, I like, but he's not my ideal candidate. So I find this list for 24 to be wildly lacking. Because what they're going to need is a refined Trump. What they're going to need is a populist individual who is a vehement patriot, just with a nicer tinge. Somebody who's not as bombastic, because I want to take the analogy of the battering ram through the door. The door was set up to be political correctness and the social justice-y ideas that have kind of come to characterize the West and hinder the West. Trump came in and knocked that door down. And through the next 4 years, I see him firmly kicking that door down. So after that, that can set the stage for maybe not nicer people, because I think Trump is very caring, and he shows that with his work with the soldiers and the other armed forces and people who are patriots, not what the Atlantic shit article from a couple days ago now paints him to be, which was just absolute horseshit. But I digress. No, for 24, they're going to need a character who is libertarian, like Trump. He's not a traditional Republican by any means. And a populist, just with more decorum, rather. Somebody who's more presidential off the bat. So perhaps a figure like Rand Paul, but Rand Paul is an also-ran in the same category as Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio. So that's my prediction for 24. I think we're going to see somebody come out. Maybe it will be Tom Cotton. Maybe it will be Josh Hawley. If there's anybody on that list that I think would be great, it would be Hawley. But hey, maybe somebody's going to pop out like Trump. Who knows? I think we're going to be in for something great in 24. And look out for the video on what the fuck I think's going to happen with the Democratic Party. Because, spoilers, there's going to be a split. Because they've got an old school and a streak of weird fucking populism in them right now. And that's not going to end well. So, I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think. But I don't think I'm far off. Tell me if I am, though. Anyways, I've been Don Consuelo, and I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.